Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Dead Island, and today we will be continuing with our Out of Bounds things. Once again, like the previous video, if you didn't watch it, I don't blame you, it was a bit longer than anticipated. But in this video, I aimed to go through all of the sub-areas as well as the DLC, but I think I'll leave the DLC for the next video and will instead just go through the sub-areas, which includes here, which is the Town Hall. We're also going to have a look at the supermarket, the sewers, and a couple of other interesting things like the Tomb of Natives. So we'll start here with the Town Hall. This is what the Town Hall looks like from above, as you can see. There you go, if we just try and get it without the fog here. Yeah, this is the outside of the Town Hall. It's a sort of rectangular building with square building rather, with a central cutout area. There's some AC units that you would never normally see up top. Outside here, we normally see this, which we can see from the balcony. However, we can now actually have a fly around here and we can have a look at what is hiding. So behind here, nothing normal, or nothing abnormal I should say, because that's just a regular Moresby building. However, behind here, where the infected and things burst out from, we can see that, well, it's missing a lot of textures here, because it is hidden behind behind some defensive barricading. But under here, as you can see, it leads to absolutely nothing. This is just an empty wall. But interestingly, out here we can actually find a section of track, of road rather, and interestingly we can also find some of these doors which come from the armoured truck. There's one there and there's one up here as well. We can also find some bins, some road cones, this parking meter, which I don't think we actually see anywhere in Moresby normally, which is kind of interesting, as well as these sorts of barricades and things. So it's interesting how they have got quite a lot of road here in an area that the player wouldn't normally be able to see, because normally from the balcony up here, even if you jump, yeah, you really can't see much. Yeah, you only see what they intend you to see, which is pretty standard. But yeah, for some reason there is just this entire area of road, and more interestingly, it doesn't count as out of bounds. I can actually walk here. As you can see, I can walk, I can run. It's not very nice on the eyes, but we can at least walk and we can run. We can obviously also fall off the edge, and we can enter water underneath, which is a pretty standard underneath plane thing that they like to do in at least this game and Riptide. So around the back we can find some of this weird water texture for some reason. Don't know why, but you know, water texture, there you go. And again, around the sides of the town square, as they call it here, aka the town hall, yeah, we can find just more areas of road, which lead to the barricades, which you would never normally be able to see. So yeah, just kind of interesting how they have all of this area out here. Maybe they were intending to give the Richmond's area, aka the rich side of Moresby, a little bit more of a playable area, but they just ended up not doing it. And if we come out here, there are in fact no zombies. Never mind, there are zombies. But there are no zombies actually beating on the doors here. As you can see, the zombies here... Ow, never mind, they can still hit me. Run away. So the zombies still exist outside, but there's no zombies banging on the door. There is simply a noise playing for the zombies. There aren't actually any of them breaking down the doors. So, yeah. Only the zombies that you can see and kill out front here actually are spawned in and exist. All the rest of them don't exist. They just have random voice lines playing. So there's not actually all too much else to see here with the Town Hall map. There's nothing too crazy going on here. This is all just regular sort of Moresby skylining, regular Moresby buildings that they've placed outside, just to give the illusion of, you know, sort of outside going on. Actually, inside the town hall, you have got the regular sort of, you know, pathways which lead to the sewers, and again on the other side here, which leads to the other exit into the sewers. There is obviously these upstairs areas here, but they don't lead to anything spectacular. As you can see, I can just clip right through there, and yeah, nothing is behind these doors on either side of the town hall. They lead to nothing, and there's no sort of hidden rooms that have been blocked off yeah, all of this is playable space, playable area. So yeah, unfortunately nothing too crazy hiding outside of the map for us to find, because like I say, all of this is playable area. So with that, we will move on to the sewers. Since we're right here, we will move on to the sewers and head into the supermarket. And welcome to the sewers. So unfortunately I have had a bit of a fly around here, and unfortunately, much like the prison, trying to navigate in the sewers is a bit of a nightmare. Because obviously you're not meant to see outside of the sewers, and the fact that the sewers therefore has got no skybox for us to look at, the screen has lots of this screen tearing, which it isn't very pleasant to look at, I'll give you that much. So I'll just have a look at some of these simple things that we can have a look at, such as the skylights that you find. Occasionally you will be able to find gratings, sometimes with pipes leading up to them, sometimes with ladders going up to them, and you can sometimes hear police sirens coming from them, and they look like they lead outside, but obviously it is in fact just the outside skybox. They have got some light texture coming down and facing the facing the grating to make it look like there is actual outside light coming, but there isn't any. So areas like this where you've got a collapsed section blocking off a way in, it is just a regular old texture leading through with some piping, nothing too crazy happening. Does this lead us through? This is City Hall. No, that's travel to the supermarket. Okay, good. So yeah, unfortunately there is not much for us to actually look at in this sewer section, which is why we are going to head straight into the supermarket and have a see what we can find poking around in here. And so here we are in the supermarket. We are actually underneath the supermarket, in the underneath sort of storage area, but interestingly we are kind of underneath Moresby. Which is, yeah, quite an interesting thing to find. So, heading through the supermarket here, as we would normally... Oh, I've gone a bit too far there. So, we can head through the supermarket normally, we can traverse all these rooms. There's nothing too crazy or spectacular to find, actually, underneath the supermarket. Yeah, these pipes and things are all inside of the bounds of the map. And, yeah... The first interesting thing that we're going to be looking at is we are going to head through here to the back rooms, which we come into from here, and we are going to have a look at this office right here. Because if you remember, if I come out of no clip here, there should be some zombies. There you go. There's some zombies fighting their way through here. And we are going to simply fly into the room here, and we are going to see just what's going on with these zombies. The answer to that is absolutely nothing. The zombies are apparently not here. So, yeah, the zombies don't seem to exist. Most interesting. We can have a nice energy drink, delicious. I am a level 0 character, by the way, because I have just made a fresh copy in order to get here easily. But yeah, inside of here, obviously the player isn't meant to be here. The walls aren't finished. There is quite obvious clipping into the outside world. There's a doorway here which we can't open, and there's some basic lootable containers. Nothing too crazy going on here, and obviously through the doorway there is absolutely nothing. And yeah, once again we have just got the weird old... We've just got the annoying things coming through here, which we don't particularly want, so we're not going to hang around there for much longer. Instead, what we're going to do is, I wonder actually if we can. We can take this pistol, but it's level 12. Okay. So yeah, through this double door, there is nothing. Obviously, the player isn't meant to get here. However, we can access this back storage room, which, as you can see, there is a zombie right here. Unfortunately, this zombie does not exist. It is not a normal zombie that we can attack. There's a spiteful wrench here, apparently, for us to take. But yeah, these zombies, they are just zombie models that are stuck in an animation of trying to break through the doors. We can't actually hit them from in here, unlike the zombie that was outside where we stole his pistol from. You know, this guy right here. Unfortunately, yeah, we can't actually fight these guys. They're just zombie models that have been placed here for us to fight. There's no way for us to attack them. which is yeah, kind of unfortunate. But you know, at least it means that they're not going to be able to sort of burst out at us. Are the punks in the supermarket yet? No, apparently. There are no punks in the supermarket because I haven't hit the required checkpoints to progress the quest, which is kind of handy because it allows us to explore the rest of the supermarket, including this area here, where the punks would normally block off the area. So normally when you're coming down here, you try and get through this open doorway, but the punks block it off. And if you're wondering where that area is, here you go. There's one of the punks. He's obviously here waiting for his trigger, but yeah, we again can't interact with him. He is waiting here to close and barricade the door, and the open door and closed door is sort of clipping into each other because it doesn't quite understand what it's meant to do here with us being here without the quest triggering properly. But if we come through here to where the survivors are, yep, the survivors are all still here. Obviously, we haven't hit the correct trigger for this guy to say his voice lines to us, which is, yeah, a bit unfortunate for us, but never mind. We'll just have to make do without that. And yeah, nothing else really for us to see outside of the supermarket area, at least the back side of it, which means we can get to the front entrance of the supermarket, where normally we're not able to get, because is the ram here? No, the ram is not here. Interesting, only some regular zombies. So yeah, normally we're not able to get through this because of the fire. And I did point out when I played through this game, I did point out that if you have a look through the fire, past the Banker Bannoy truck, you can actually see the entrance to the supermarket. And they didn't, I don't know why, but they didn't expect people to look through here, which means that even in normal gameplay, you can see through the fire, if you have a jump and look, you can actually see the white void, which is placed here to act as, it's essentially a white void box, which is used to just show light coming in from outside, but for some reason they didn't sort of put anything beyond the road, which means you can just see where the map sort of ends past the Banker Bannoy truck, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so that's the main entrance. Unfortunately, nothing funny other than that to see, other than, of course, this very low-res road. And it's interesting why they decide to have a road going straight to the foot front entrance here. As you can see, this is a person double doors. For some reason, yeah, that's what they decided to do for that. Don't know why, but yeah, that's what they've done. So we can at least have a poke around in the back rooms here, and we can have a look at what's inside of these other containers. So these containers will open to spawn the bosses. Let's see if we can. There you go. We can get inside here, and there is, of course, nobody yet in here because nobody has spawned in because we're not meant to be here yet. Yeah, throughout these other containers, unfortunately, nothing. This one's an incredibly bright wall. I don't know why, but oh, interesting. Hello. There's a road coming out here, along with some more Moresby walls, which are just all around here for some reason. I don't know why. In fact, it's not even just a part of a road; it's part of the bridge for some reason. Don't know why. Don't know why you're like that, but yeah, through here, nothing. Nothing of note, at least. There's some double doors, more double doors here. Just a whole bunch of random level geometry, spare doors and ceilings apparently. Just a whole load of random extra stuff hiding around here. Now we are underneath Moresby, so I'm wondering if we head over here, will we actually come out into the main Moresby map? Because I thought that the supermarket may have been its own separate sub-area, not underneath the Moresby map. And that may still be the case, however, it may also not be. So I'm going to have a poke around here and see if we can find the regular playable map of Moresby. So unfortunately I have not been able to find Moresby itself here. These all look to be just background buildings, and if I did find Moresby it would be incredibly covered in smog and smoke because of the you know, supermarket supermarket layout, which is unfortunate, but yeah, it doesn't look like this is actually part of the regular Moresby map. So yeah, with that, unfortunately, that means our time with the supermarket is going to be at an end. I haven't found anything else interesting or funny to do with the supermarket. I can't even find my way back here. But yeah, I haven't actually found anything else with the supermarket. So yeah, we will move on to a different sub area, and I will try and get into the police station now and see what interesting things we can find in the police station. And here we are in the police station. I loaded up my Jan save, which is already beyond the police station point, so we're able to easily get here, and we can have a look inside of the armoured truck. First of all, if you've never actually played multiplayer in this game or just looked behind you while you're in the armoured truck, that's what it looks like, just a bunch of seats. Nothing too crazy going on there. So this is the outside of the police station, or underneath of the police station rather. We have got yet more water textures going on here, and there's not actually much else. There's obviously the flashing lights from the there's the flashing lights going on from the alarms, you know, such as this one right here. This glowing red light, and the police lights going on from the car. Again, much like, you know, the sewers and everything else, we've got a bit of an issue traversing out of bounds here, because we will get lots of screen tearing. However, we did see here some more of these white see-through boxes. This time they've got some light blue arrows on them, which I'm assuming once again is for script running, or, you know, quest triggering, or enemy spawning something or other. We've got this section of wall, which I think is probably leading from here. Yeah. So this is the doorway that Reza goes through. If you don't know, Reza is an NPC you can find in the police station. He's locked up, I think, in this cell, and you can let him out, and he will run to the end of the corridor here. He turns around, or turns to the left, and goes through this door, and this door despawns him. As you can see, nothing happening here, just a short corridor leading to, well, nothingness, which is pretty standard for any of these sorts of types of doors, which lead to nothing that NPCs go through. They're normally just a short section of corridor, which then despawns them. So we have got more grey wall going on here, which again probably used for spawning or something or other, I don't know. But let's leave the cells area if we can. Here we go. We'll follow it through. Here we go. So this is the main area of the ground floor of the police station, at least. We've obviously got the gun room right here, and we can go through here. Through this exit door, there is nothing going on because we are underground. Yeah, nothing happening. This is in fact its own sub-area by the looks of it. It's not actually part of Moresby's main map, so I was correct about that at least. We can see here a whole load of dividing walls. They're the cells. Nothing going on there. Yeah, we're probably not going to find anything actually in the police station. I don't think, because pretty much everywhere we can go is playable area. There's no real out of bounds non-playable area other than apparently this room, which I don't know why this room exists. Can we click through there? No. Can we click through here? No. Interesting. We found a random room in the police station which doesn't lead anywhere, but it does have loads of doors which lead to nothing, at least for this one. Strange. So yeah, other than that though, it doesn't look like there's all too much going on here. This is the lift. Yeah, this is the lift shaft for the elevator, if you're American, which has got a zombie in it. And the zombie in here you can actually kill. I want to try and get my way in here. Close enough. There you go. So yeah, there is actually a zombie in here that you can normally kill. We can drop down here. There he is. There he is. Hello, Mr. Zombie. Oh, I've clipped through. Interesting. There's also a ram present. But yeah, there's otherwise nothing too much out of bounds that we haven't already seen in either one of the things in this video or in the previous video, other than some more nondescript boxes. Yeah, I haven't really found anything too much of note. There's the lift shaft again, and yeah, nothing too crazy out of bounds. If we just fly downwards here, the void takes us, and yeah, we don't find anything of note, which is a bit of a shame. Other than this weird looking lighting effect, but I think that's just, yeah, I think that's just part of these spotlights, or headlights rather, from the car. So yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary, unfortunately, in the police station that I have found, or that I can tell, other than our good old friends, the developer cubes, and this white light which is used for the light shining through here. Yeah, nothing too crazy with that, unfortunately. So let's go to somewhere else. I will try and get us into the hotel now. I think that'll be the next interesting place for us to have a look at. So before we enter the hotel itself, I want to make you aware of the fact that we have lost someone on top of the hotel roof. As you can see, Dominic is not up here anymore. Instead, where he is where he's meant to be, which is in the cutscene chamber. Here he is. He's standing here. The cutscene has obviously already played because it plays at the end of Act 2. Before we go to the jungle, Jean, in this playthrough at least, is already through to the jungle, so he has just been moved down here. He's played out in the cutscene, and his model has just been left in the cutscene room here, which is otherwise unchanged rather from what we normally, from how we found it previously. So yeah, he's just hanging out there, and we can re-enter the hotel via one of these entrances. Not this one, we have to go back to the normal entrance, I forget. Yep, we need to come down here, there we go, and we need to interact with this. Get away from the thugs. Get away from the thugs, and we can enter the hotel. Now, normally when you enter the hotel, you can't get very far. When you re-enter the hotel, at least, because the hotel sort of gets blocked off. If we come back here again, and we try and retrace our steps here, we go back through here, all the way through all of these front offices to the bar, and we try and get through here. Come on, there you go. As you can see, we cannot get very far. The lift is closed, and all of these doorways are closed as well. So yeah, there is absolutely no way that we can get through here. It's also incredibly dark now because yeah, we don't have any lighting going on. So yeah, if you try and re-enter the hotel, you're not able to. But we can at least have a look at this area first of all, which is quite an interesting find, because there is a whole load of unused space actually inside of the hotel. So this is where we enter in, I believe. Yeah, here's where we come in from. However, there's a whole bunch of unused stuff happening outside, as you can see. Just outside of the bounding walls, you know, normally we turn this way and we come down here past all of these shops and check-in areas. But right out here, we have got a whole load of other random extra stuff. You know, here's a whole ass corridor, which shouldn't exist, but it does. It doesn't count as out of bounds, as you can see. I can walk along here. And unfortunately Sean is reset, which is unfortunate. But yeah, you know, we can walk all the way through here. All of these are just emergency exits, and this isn't actually the prologue. This isn't the prologue area. This is just a whole ass extra corridor, which you can normally get to. By the way, there is a way to clip out of bounds and fall in here. There are videos of it on YouTube, but you can actually clip through the walls and fall down into here, but obviously no clipping like this is a lot easier. But yeah, there's that area where you have got this sort of I don't know what to call this. It's a sort of a video area, I guess, where you would have some sort of projector playing a video for people to watch. There's these chairs. The chairs are actually physics objects. They've not just been placed here and locked in place, not all of them at least. You can actually interact with them, and there is this floating picture. But yeah, for some reason this is entirely unused. They didn't decide to use it for whatever reason. interesting. There's all of these plastic bottles rather, as well as these toggle switches which go on the sort of big power blocks that we interact with, and these are all sat on top of one of those normal nondescript grey cubes. We have once again got some more water effects. We're always seeing them now. But yeah, random unused corridor, random area here. Here is behind some sort of roller door, which is this roller door in fact. Yeah, there's just a little bit of an area back here. We have got that same corridor again. Yeah, this is the same corridor because it leads to there. So yeah, all of this random unused area outside of at least this. Yeah, once again, another roller door with nothing behind it. And you know, these are all on the offices level. Yeah, we've got some doorways here. There you go. If I stop the screen tearing a little bit, we can see, yeah, loads of doorways and bits of wall, windows and things being used, or unused rather. We've got this suitcase model just out here. Interesting. What's down here? Ooh. Hello. Arrow. Hello, arrow. Is this prologue area? No, I know what this is. I know what this is. This is a whole section of unused area, question mark? Because you can't just get to that corridor if you no-clip out, or if you somehow fall out of bounds. Yeah, you can get to this whole extra unused area of the hotel. So this is the parking garage. We'll get to that in a bit, because there is a lot of parking garage. All of this is used for the cutscene. Oh, there you go. All of this is used for the cutscene that plays when you drive the armored truck out. Oh, there you go. So yeah, this is all used for the armored truck. There is in fact the armored truck model that drives away during that cutscene. Let's try and retrace our steps. So I think this is, yeah, so this is the kitchen area, which means here's the lift that we fall down through, and that means that somewhere along here should be, yeah, so this is where Mike stands. So we would normally come in through this way. Yep, so here's where we come through and we talk to Mike. Mike is standing on the other side of the lift shaft, which is over here. And if you're very careful with your jump, you can actually leap to him in a normal game. You can also throw a Molotov at him and kill him in a certain way as well. But if you ever wondered what is going on Mike's side of the lift shaft, there is nothing. We're kind of in the floor here. But yeah, there is nothing happening over on Mike's side of the lift shaft. If you were to able to get over here, as you can see, corridor, turn to the right, disappears. It's once again used just so that the players can't see where the NPC goes and despawns and everything. Now, what's more interesting is all of this unused level geometry that's going on here. We've got some basic ass walls, and I don't actually think these are being used for triggers. I think these are just untextured basic walls used for building the level before they add the textures onto them. So the kitchens themselves are, you know, nothing interesting to see here, because we can play through them normally. But the main interesting thing that we need to get to, or get back to rather, is all of that unused level area, because that's the thing that you can get to if you manage to clip out of bounds. You know, once again, there is a way to get to it. This is playable area. Yeah, this is all playable area because it leads from the swimming pool. There you go. So we can have a look at the swimming pool. Once again, if we go outside of the lights, as you can see, it is just basic white texturing. Pretty standard. But yeah, there is a whole load of unused areas actually in the hotel area. Here we go. So yeah, all of these water tanks. Don't know why they're here. This is all unused level geometry. There's obviously was going to be plans to have the player come down this ramp, probably through this door, which leads us from all of this area. And you can actually walk along here. You know, this is all playable, walkable area. there's zombies trying to kill me. There's a guy there. But yeah, this is all sort of walkable area. So they obviously have plans to make the hotel section a lot bigger than it actually is. They obviously wanted to do more with it. They weren't able to. This is the area where the infected run at you from. But yeah, yet more corridors and unused areas. You know, this is back into the playable area. But yeah, this is all sort of various unused areas that you can access. Yeah, this is used area, but yeah, there's various unused sections of the map that you wouldn't normally be able to get to because it's just never used. But they've included it anyway because they obviously had plans for more extravagant things which they didn't end up going with, which is kind of a shame because it would have been interesting to get more of a playable area for the hotel. You know, get more expanded areas with the hotel. You know, look at all this stuff. Yeah, this is all playable parking garage area, or parking lot area. We can even stand here. Look, and we can go to percent and Act 1A and take a memory shot of that. But yeah, this is all parking garage area, and it only exists for the express purpose of playing through the cutscene with the armoured truck. You know, all of this, because it's all done in real time. This is the playable parking lot area. There's obviously the armoured truck that you interact with in order to end the mission and leave the hotel. But if you remember, the cutscene does show it driving everywhere, and it is not pre-rendered. It renders in-game, and that's because it has the truck being driven, quote unquote, through this parking lot, which means that they modelled this entire massive area of parking lot. This, I'm assuming, is some sort of trigger to help it progress. But yeah, this is all just unused parking lot area. We did see a spiral. Let's see if we can relocate that. There was a sort of spiral drive up somewhere, which led us to something. Talking of something, there's an exterior wall just appearing there. Yeah, I mean, just look at this parking lot area, and once again, back to the unused areas. Once again, out here, it's all kind of scattered around, and yeah, here you go. Back to more corridor, more stuff. Yeah, it's just kind of a lot of unused areas outside of the area, which we would never normally see, or is only used for cutscenes. Just kind of an interesting find. Yeah, what's this? Oh, this is this area. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it can be kind of tricky to differentiate between used playable area and unused playable area, because yeah, it's quite scattered around here. But yeah, that I think is everything that we need to see in the. Oh, there you go. This is all we need to see in the hotel. There's some interesting geometry and things that was never used, and rooms left forever unused. And there you go. This is what I was looking for. Bits and pieces just everywhere. These are the kitchens. Here we go. Here's where we were looking for. That big arrow. So I'm not sure if we ever traverse this area. Doesn't look like it. No, we do not. Which is kind of funny because I recognise that particular section. Yeah, so here you go. This is what I was talking about. This is the YouTube things that people find and put on YouTube, which you're able to clip through. But you know, look, another unused kitchen area. You know, complete with lift entrance. Either this was a sort of beta development of how you were going to progress through the hotel that was cut out or it was meant to be a bigger area than it ended up being, and they just cut all of this stuff out and just sort of left it by the wayside. But it's just kind of interesting how they have all of this rooms, all of these kitchen areas. They have this whole corridor area, which I think you can actually see in some, in some art where they had the sort of sketch of this corridor. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This corridor goes on for a while. But still going, we're still going. This is sort of like a foyer area. Once again, continue all the way through here. Smashed window, yet more stuff. Lift. Look at this, a whole lift shaft. This was going to be a multi-story area. This leads to some sort of underground section. Still going through, still finding stuff. Red light. Yet more things. This is some sort of generator area, which is very interesting. And look, it's all been modelled. They've planned this. They planned what they were going to do with this. There's walkable area. I wonder if there's zombies. Hello, zombies? No zombies, but I can imagine that you would probably have to interact with this red light. Yep, there you go. You'd probably have to flick these two switches in order to turn off the generators or turn off some sort of electricity. Look at this, workable doors just hanging around. That'll lead us through. So this was all obviously going to be some sort of planned area that you would have to traverse. Unfortunately, no loot spawns here, but look, unrecognisable body on the ground, so there would have been zombies here for you to fight. And we're still going. We're still going through this. Yet more things. Look, stairway to heaven, which leads us through into another corridor. And toilet area. There's some sort of trigger here with this arrow, this downwards pointing arrow. In fact, there's multiple of them. And here's what I was talking about. Once again, more parking lot stuff, and this is obviously one of the ways out or down. They have cars spawned in here. The spiral goes down even further. They got more cars, more bits and pieces. Look at this. This leads through to a toilet, more toilets, rest areas. Yeah, they got all of this unused stuff just cut out from the rest of the hotel that was just never used. There's some sort of fire playing there. Got this staircase which goes to nothing because they obviously didn't finish it. But yeah, there's just so much stuff actually underneath the hotel for you to find that was never used. And I say that I recognise this place because they don't actually reuse this. They reused this section to make one of the Henderson Dead Zones. Or one version of the Henderson Dead Zone in Dead Island Riptide. If you ever come into one of the Henderson Dead Zones in Riptide, just stand at the top of the stairs and have a look at it from this way, and you'll very quickly see what I mean. Because there's this walkway over here, you've got these two side doors, this leads to a big doorway, and then there are stairs which go up to this over walkway here, which then leads through here. So they kind of took this and modified it to work it in with Riptide, which is very interesting to see that it was actually unused hotel content. And talking of unused hotel content, look at this. All sorts of assets which have been scattered around in what was obviously an unfinished room, because there's absolutely no walls whatsoever. But yeah, look at it. Look at all this stuff. All this stuff that we can find in the hotel. But yeah, that I think is all that we're going to look at for the hotel. You could spend so much time in there. I mean, look at this. This is some sort of first aid room for the hotel. They had the whole thing mapped out. It was obviously going to be a sort of very expansive area of the hotel, but they ended up just not working it into the quest. And yeah, it's just been left. So yeah, I mean, look, unused armored trucks, which I think are used in the cutscene. Yeah, what's that? There you go. That's the infected that gets hit. If you remember at the start of the cutscene, As the truck drives around the corner, it smacks an infected. This is obviously the infected model that gets hit by the truck. And so it's just been spawned here next to the truck, ready for the cutscene trigger. And I imagine if I interact with that glowing button, which I found on one of the sides, there you go. This is the way out of the hotel. No trigger for us to hit, unfortunately. But if I can find that green trigger very quickly to do the and act thing, then we will probably see either the cutscene play or something happen. Something may break. So we will have to be ready for that. But I mean, even as we roam around the parking garage, we can still find even more rooms, even more corridors. Just the amount of stuff that's hidden away back here that was just never used is astounding. It is crazy. It is mind-blowing that they just have so much stuff that they were never able to use, but they've got around here, which is it's just absolutely crazy. I mean, just look, we're still going through the parking garage. In fact, we're back here again. I mean, it's just so much stuff. So I have made it back to the mysterious glowing button, and we are going to interact with it. And what's going to happen? We're going to get a please wait. Loading resort. Okay, interesting. What's happening here? Because I don't know what's going to happen. This is the first time I found that glowing green button that I've just activated willy-nilly to see what happens. Could be that the resort just never loads. Oh, here we go. And yeah, it just takes us outside. So we're outside here. Here's the entrance of the parking garage. As you can see, there's nothing happening. It's a fire with a black box, and there's random zombies that happen. But yeah, there's nothing. Nothing changes. It just takes you outside of the resort. Pretty standard stuff. So let us move to the Tomb of Natives, I think, and that will be the last sub area that I want to really cover in this video, because we'll have covered all of the other interesting stuffs. You know, the Prison Rooftop, actually. We'll need to visit the Prison Rooftop as well. So I will try and find that. I'll try and find that to do. But yeah, otherwise let's head to the Tomb of Natives and go from there. Okay, so here we are at the Tomb of Natives. Finally we made it. I just had to escort stupid Ope along all the way. So we can see the outside here, once again using the same sort of coastline as the resort and as the jungle, which is just mountains and things. Pretty standard. We have got the bunker on top of the cliff here that I wanted to have a look at. We tried making it, and I think somebody did actually manage to make it up to the bunker by sort of parkouring and things, but I never managed to. I believe the bunker is somewhere up here. It's way up high. There it is. So, as per normal, it is a regular old bunker model. There's nothing going on in here, obviously no ladder. We've got nothing to collect either in terms of loot. No loot has obviously spawned in here, but we can walk in it, which is nice, I guess. But yeah, once again, just a regular old bunker model. Regular old turret. We've got the firing slits that you can see out of there. Pretty standard stuff. Ope's little village here. Yeah, nothing too crazy happening. If we go underneath the map here, yeah, we get the sun glare poking through. But yeah, otherwise nothing too crazy or spectacular happening under here. The waterfall, once again, nothing going on with the waterfall. Just the regular old waterfall things. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing to see. Yeah, there are those mysterious buttons that you can interact with throughout the map, but they do not do anything, and there's nothing underneath I can see that would activate and appear once you activate all of the buttons. So yeah, much like the lab and jungle and all that. Having a look down here, as you can see, it is all just it is all just this 2D tree texture being used to cast the idea of it being a dense jungle with all these palm trees and things back here. So, very cost-effective way of doing it. As for what is actually inside of the tomb itself, very exciting. Drum roll, please. Absolutely nothing. This is just texture. It's just yeah, nothing is going on in here. It is all just a massive hillside, which has been plonked down, and a couple of entrances put to make it look like it is the entrance to some sort of big complex where the natives bury their dead. However, yeah, unfortunately there is nothing going on in there. We might be able to find the cutscene area, because I think it is not a pre-rendered cutscene. So the cutscene area for when you're actually in the tomb with Yarima in there and things like that, it may exist around here, but I don't particularly want to play through the game to find it, so we may just have to abandon that idea. It could be that there is a room under here used for the cutscene, used for the tomb, but I can't seem to find it anywhere, and we're getting horrible screen tear. So yeah, unfortunately nothing too interesting to find with the Tomb of Natives other than that bunker, which is just stuck up there for no apparent reason. Yeah, all of this stuff is just regular old foliage and, rock texture and rock pieces. Nothing too crazy happening here with us either, which means we can at least move on to the final area which I want to have a look at in this video, which is the Prison Rooftop, which will be a very interesting thing to find and see if there is anything outside of the prison, because yeah, there is nothing for us to see here at the Tomb of Natives. So let's get over to the prison, and very fitting for the end of this video, we will have a look at the final area of the game in the rooftop. Oh, thankfully, I don't even have to play through part of the game in order to get here. I was just instantly able to get onto the prison rooftop here, which is very handy. There is apparently a final chapter area which allows us to instantly get onto the prison roof, which is very, very handy because we can now instantly have a look at what's around here. So we have actually got quite a fair bit of the prison modelled out here. We've also got a massive section of Moresby wall being used for part of the floor, which is, it makes sense for, time-saving and cost-saving measures. It looks like a lot of this stuff is reusing assets, which is a pretty standard idea. This is an upscaled version of one of the warehouses that you can see around the resort and Moresby. These are just regular brick walls used from the prison, which is just being used to give it a more sort of brick-built look. Pretty standard idea there. And obviously, if you're standing up here, you can't really see anything going on. These areas that explode when Ryder detonates the C4 to let the infected out onto the roof, these don't actually have anywhere going behind them because they normally, I think, explode and then have fire everywhere. So the fire kind of deters the player from wanting to investigate into here. But yeah, there's those first aid things and the workbench that you would normally find there. Under here we have got probably black boxes used for the grey boxes used for the triggering of everything. For triggering when Ryder says his voice lines, when the infected spawn, when the C4 explodes, all of that good fun stuff. That's probably all pretty standard. Interestingly, under here there is actually stairways leading down. I don't know why, but hey, we've got staircases coming down here, and yeah, we have actually got quite a bit of the actual prison loaded in here, or at least modelled, I should say. We've got some of these cell blocks, which I'm assuming is what these are. We've got various containers and or barrels and things down there, which is pretty interesting. Once again, another couple of buildings laid out here, and kind of a fan area. Oh, we get a music change when we approach the roof. which is quite funny. These massive rolls of barbed wire, which, yeah, these are incredible. These are as tall as Sam B, so yeah, they're looking pretty big here. These guard towers, which are kind of interesting. Let's see if we can stand on them. We can! This is standable area, and it doesn't count as out of bounds either, because the developers never expected you to actually be out here in the first place, so... these poor stretch textures being used for Windows. Oh dear, they're trying their best to look like Windows just on the guard tower. Oh dear, that's very good. Obviously, if you are standing on the roof, the idea is that you are shooting at and being shot by the soldiers. Plus, the rain and smoke effect means you're not really looking out here in any great deal. And even if you did, you can't actually see anything much out here. So. They work perfectly fine as windows. You don't need particularly high-res window textures going on here, but it's nice that they had a go. And yeah, these big walls are just regular brick walls. And then we do have those guard towers out here. We've got some more Moresby wall. Don't know why you decided to put Moresby wall out there, but they have. Same with down here. We've got section of Moresby wall once again, and some more of this texture plate, traction plate sort of areas down here. We're seeing more of that. Not sure why the player would never normally be able to see this from where they're standing. Standing here, you can see the wall, but you can't see directly down, so I don't know why exactly they're there. We are once again yet more massive chunks of Moresby wall, which I don't know why these are so upscaled, or what they're doing there, but maybe they're load-bearing walls. Maybe deleting them caused the game to crash or something. Actually, under here we've got yet again more layers of wall. Not sure why. Just more layers of wall just underneath the map. Yeah, interesting that they're under there, and they are using, I think, Moresby wall just as like a general base for the prison. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, kind of where we're at with that. And then outside of the playable or visible area, there is nothing going on out here. Once again, just regular skyline being used out here. Actually, don't tell me there's buildings out here. Okay, I'm going to fly over here and see what we can find. Okay, no, I thought there might have been like resort buildings going on out here, but it isn't. There is the resort actually there, which we will have a look at, but it looks like this is just sort of road being done out here. Oh, there's some buildings here actually, which I'm guessing is meant to represent Moresby. Possibly. I mean, you can barely see it from the prison. I mean, there is the prison itself. There's apparently a Minecraft beacon being shot into the sky there. But yeah, I'm guessing these buildings are meant to represent an idea of where Moresby is in relation to the prison. And here is a very, very low... Here's a very low textured version, very basic, simple version of the resort hotel. It's pretty decent, actually, from how far away you are. Take some snapshots of those. We are tourists after all. Yeah, interesting that they've actually got it pretty decently modelled. They even have the backside of it modelled that you wouldn't be able to see. So, yeah, interesting that they've got that there. Do I try and fly to the beacon? No, I don't think I'm that interested in what the hell the beacon is. It's just kind of a white line going up into the sky. But, we'll fly back to the prison and see what other things we can find from the rooftop, and I will then leave it there, and we will look at all of the DLC stuff in the next episode. Because there's nothing really interesting to find in the sewers. We had a brief look, but the sewers is kind of a nightmare to navigate, much like how the prison was a nightmare to navigate when we had a look in the earlier video. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to go and revisit the sewers. Unfortunately, there's probably nothing for us to find much, nothing exciting for us to find there. But we can have a look at Super 64. Here it is, or Super 25 actually. I think it is. Super 64 crashes. So this is Super 25. This is the Moresby police helicopter that rescues Ryder. But you know, we can have a look inside of here. Is this a 2D texture? No, it is actually modelled. Very good, because it is probably the same. Yeah, it's used in the cutscene after killing Ryder and in the final gameplay cutscene. So yeah, that explains why it has actually got an interior, which is still very nice. Anything in here? There is actually a lift. Interesting. I don't think the lift ever actually opens. Yeah, and the lift shaft goes down, but there's nothing under here. So yeah, once again, just empty rooms. This one has a hole in the floor apparently, which leads to a random box with nothing in it. Very nice. Yeah, these lifts, yeah, I don't think we actually ever see the lifts open, or if they do, infected probably come out of it. So I mean, maybe that's where what the lifts are doing here. That's where the infected run out at us. Is this actually a metal chest? Is this actually a lootable metal chest? Ow. It is. This is actually a lootable metal chest. Interesting. We can have a look at Ryder. There he is. Hello, Ryder. So you can actually shoot at Ryder as much as you want when you come up here. When you first get onto the roof, rather, you can shoot at Ryder as much as you want. He is, however, invincible. If I don't even have anything to hit him with. If I try and hit him, there you go. He is invincible. He takes no damage. I'm very lucky that I've got God mode on. But yeah, he will continue to shoot at you. You can't hit him until you actually get into the main fight. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary there. But at least, hey, we can have a look at Ryder. Very fun. But yeah, that is the prison roof, I think. There's nothing much else we can find out here. Can we stand on top of these buildings? No, we can't. We fall all the way down. Ow. That was a Sam B death noise. But yeah, there's nothing else for us to find out here in the prison. But it's been a fun look, having a check out of bounds at all the things we can find, especially in the hotel. And here on the prison rooftop, just seeing how much of the prison they've actually made is very interesting, because I'm sure, like me, very few people actually look out here when they're fighting Ryder White. They're focused entirely on the rooftop area. Very rarely actually have a look out of the playable bounds. So it's always nice to have a look at these things and how much effort the developers actually went into making a nice surrounding area outside of the playable boundary. But for now, I will leave this video here. It's probably another long one. Or I'd say that it definitely is going to be another long one. But yeah, in the next episode of this, Out of Bounds, or the next part of this Out of Bounds, we will look at the DLC areas, which is to say the Bloodbath Arena and its 4 playable fighting arenas, and we're also going to have a look at the Ryder White's campaign maps. So we'll have a look at those in the next part of this. So I will thank you all for watching, and goodbye.